started the record.
Tight. Taking down the Dolphin, bud.
Alright. You wanna... Here, you go in that chair, because then you'll be, like, on both sides of me. Recording. This is surely the most production that I've put into this.
Nice. Look, there's you.
That's fucking funny. Yeah. Yeah. That one. That one. Also that one.
Yeah. That's a camera.
You. There.
That's a camera.
How you doing?
These are cameras.
These two are cameras.
This is recording everything.
I sold this one to the government.
To the birds.
Yeah, exactly. The birds sold out. Bunch of dicks.
Fuck.
Birds.
Fucking birds.
What's
man.
new, bud?
Somebody stole a plant from the planter out in front of the building last night. I showed you the video earlier.
You did.
I was sitting in my car. I was watching YouTube videos, and I look up, and our neighbor is scooping plants out of our planter. And I just roll my window down, and I go, "Yo, are you taking plants out of our planter?" And she just goes, and she scurries into the building, into next door. And I called the landlord, and I said, "Yo, our neighbor just stole plants out of our planter like 10 seconds ago. You can watch it on the security camera." And he got the clip for us. So insert clip
Well, you didn't
here.
tell me the ending. Did she return the plant?
No, we never caught her.
Oh, wait. How didn't you get her, though? Didn't you go to her house? She lives right there? Or is that not where she lives?
No, it's like a building with like art studios.
Oh.
So she stole the plant, scurried away, and then my landlord found the footage. So
Dick.
if we know who she is, like I don't know her name, but we see her all the time. So next time I see her, it's like you can't run from us. Like we live here, you know?
I have a backup record on these things.
Yeah, make sure
These
it's
are cool because they
backup recording.
They record backup internally.
I love this new technology, you know. Every once in a while there's a piece of video production technology that I'm like, we needed that.
These are the shit.
Yeah.
And then
You've got the microphone input too, so
yeah, so I'd use the nicer lavs when I need to hide them.
the tiny lavs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm into it.
Tell me about 32-bit audio.
I am a fan of it
Yeah.
because you can use 24-bit audio now to just turn your gain way down and then just turn it up in post. But with 32-bit audio, it's virtually impossible to clip. So you just don't set gain on 32-bit audio.
Goodbye, Adobe Audition.
Yeah. See ya. I think it's a good technology. It's the new Rodes have the 32-bit.
They have that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So these definitely don't. They are not. Yeah, thanks, bud. Thanks for that one. Yeah, these aren't those ones. That sounds cool, though. I'd like to... so what's the SM7B? What's that? In terms of...
The microphone?
Yeah. Is that just like...
SM7B?
Is that like how they...
Is that the one that...
It's
like
a condenser
the
the podcast mic, you know what I mean? That like... It's the one that...
It's like the cylindrical one with the big
really
pop
good,
filter.
Yeah, they're really good looking, sure.
Yeah, I think it sounds very, very similar to the SM58. I have a Beta 58 over there.
Yeah, it's like if you didn't have them directly next to each other, like one ear, you would know.
Yeah, the 58 and the 7.
Yeah, if you listen to them side by side, it's like, all right, one's more condensed and nicer a little bit, but like, fuck it.
It's super marginal. Like most
really
people, when I A/B tested it from a YouTube video, I couldn't tell the difference. I would only get that if you are gonna have it always mounted onto a stand and not handling it. The 58, the SM58 classic one,
Yeah.
has better handling noise than that one. So that would be the reason that you'd want to buy it if it was always on a tripod.
Oh.
But this is my favorite microphone right now, it's the Beta 58A. So really good handling noise, just like the SM58, but it's got a more hardened grill here. So if you drop it a bunch, it's not going to dent.
Yeah,
The 58s, they dent really easy, but that's not the main feature. The main feature is it's got a stronger magnet in here than the regular SM58, so it's more sensitive. You can get crisper highs with the Beta 58, and that I could tell from an A/B test.
Can you explain magnets in microphones for us audio laymen's?
Yeah, there's a magnet in here, and your breath moves the magnet, or it moves the diaphragm, and the magnet picks up the movement of the diaphragm.
Interesting.
So the stronger magnet can pick up more delicate sounds, more like that kind of stuff. And it's not plugged in, so you can't hear it. But if you...
Is that how all microphones work?
They have like a little
Diaphragm
thing that moves
vibration.
and then a magnet that picks it up.
That's how it picks up the vibration.
Ribbon mics are a little different. Don't ask me how they work, but yeah, condenser mics and dynamic mics just have a little thing that moves and then a magnet that picks up that movement.
Sick.
That's how it works. But yeah,
Sick.
Beta 58A I like better for that reason. Also, it's a different pickup pattern, so it's gonna have stronger focus on what you point it directly at. So you have to have it like right on axis to get the best pickup. And then the feedback is actually protected most from the diagonals. So like from down here and down here, it's going to pick up the least.
Okay.
So you would want your stage monitors, if you have stage monitors, to be pointed diagonally instead of straight on. If you're using a regular SM58, you want the monitors like this. So this is my favorite mic. I was very inspired by the song Freedom by Rage Against the Machine to just lock myself into using this for recording. And
is that what they used for that song?
I don't know if they used it for this song, but they definitely used a handheld dynamic microphone or just a dynamic microphone on like a tripod for that recording, because you can hear him moving off axis.
Yeah.
And I like using microphones as an instrument and less about just trying to like make it pristine and perfect and pick up like, a kind of super transparent signal.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to like put this in my hand and like use it as an instrument. And, if it gets handling noise, then that's part of the performance. If it gets me moving off axis, that's part of the performance.
Yeah.
I like doing that.
Yeah.
And also, I heard Bono from U2 fame also uses a regular SM58 for his studio recordings, which is I thought interesting, because U2 is kind of known for more pristine audio. I don't know if he's always done that or if it's changed over the years, but I heard that. Fact check me.
I do like that. Yeah, like yelling past the mic. Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's cool when you can do it right. Pink Floyd does that nice.
Yeah. I also like kind of like walking around and exploring the space when I record vocals and perform, like pretending like I'm on stage. Also, when people then finally hear you on stage, then it sounds the same as the recording.
Yeah.
So they're like, this is exactly like I remember it to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's plenty of benefits of using really nice condenser microphones or ribbon mics if you like the classic sound.
You dick. Just make a bunch of noise for no reason.
It's all the performance.
Not recording audio or anything.
So what's been new with you since the last time I saw you? We were skating a half pipe together. Last time I saw you, Mike's half pipe.
Oh shit, yeah, you're right. That was true.
Yeah.
Came out to the vert ramp. That wasn't. Handle that vert ramp. You don't skate much vert, do you?
No, I was terrified. But when I got back to the substance half pipe,
Yeah.
it was much less scary.
Hell yeah.
I was able to just drop in and be like, okay, I just did this last week. I can drop into this.
That's one of the things I tell like people that are learning. I'm like, no, it's not that like I'm crazy. It's like that your vision literally changes as you get better, and ramps just appear smaller.
They appear smaller. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Still super dangerous. But
Yeah, it still feels the same when you fall and
ow. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. You learn to fall too. You learn to not just totally eat shit every single time.
Who was the famous X Games clip that he
Oh,
fell straight to flat from like 11 meters or something?
I forget who that was, but that shit was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he broke his back.
Did he really?
Yeah, he broke himself off for sure.
I know when he was back at the X Games the next year.
That's happened a couple times.
Just falling straight to flat.
Yeah, falling close to flat. Guy, I don't know like how many. There's definitely like 2 or 3 like significant clips of that happening. But yeah, I know. I wish I could remember who that was. Whatever, but
Bobby something? No.
I don't know. I'm sure Bob. We're probably thinking of Bob Burnquist, who's like the
Was it
guy.
Bob Burnquist?
But I'm sure he's eaten total shit on vert. I've seen him. I mean, he's the man.
Yeah.
Like he's done it all on the vert. But no, I don't think it was him. Who was that? Let's look it up.
Okay.
Let's look it up. We have these handy dandy cell phones.
We do.
I'll just do quick. Huge vert. No, wait. Mega ramp. Slam. No, too flat. Jake Brown's.
Okay.
Jake Brown. I don't
So
even.
when he came back the next year, he was definitely walking with a cane, but they just
Was it?
had him walk onto the ramp and just wave at the crowd.
Jesus Christ.
But he was definitely walking with a cane.
Yeah, I'd kind of want to go into Jake Brown, the aftermath.
Yeah, it was a good video.
He fell 45 feet.
Ooh.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've done some slams to flat, but on mini ramps, not on
I
half
slammed to
pipes.
flat on Mike's vert ramp before.
Oh, have you really?
Oh, yeah.
Damn.
That felt good. He walked to the top of one of the jumpers in the crowd. Oh, yeah, that's the last thing. I can't wait to come back.
Yeah.
Jake Brown.
He walked away from that. That's crazy.
Yeah. That is crazy. Probably shouldn't have walked.
No. Stunts.
Yeah. Skating a little bit more. Got a fun week coming up. I'm at like an in-house photographer video for this aerial acrobatics company. The girls that do like silk spinning and the lyra.
Sure.
You know, all the...
I started learning some aerial silk.
Really?
Yeah.
No way!
At Brooklyn Zoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was very...
It's probably like really, really difficult.
I was yeah, it's definitely, if you've never done it before and you don't know how to do pull-ups, which I can't do pull-ups.
Oh, you can't do pull-ups?
Skinny dolphin arms.
Yeah, no, then aerial tricks.
Dude,
those girls are fucking ripped.
They are really good, yeah. But I watched the video of Creed performing at a football game on Thanksgiving in 2001. And they had aerial silk performers flown in. So
That's
imagine
crazy.
a stadium, right? Big stadium. And they just like, they're coming out, but they're on silks. So they have them on like tow lines, just coming in on the aerial silks.
Bro, that is insane.
And it was 2 guys, both shaved heads, ripped, just shredded.
They're always shredded every single time.
And one had blue parachute pants and one had red parachute pants. So they contrasted each other perfectly. They're like the aerial twins. And it was sick. It was one of my favorite. It's not a very complex aerial silk performance that they did.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a stunt.
Yeah.
And I loved every second of it. And then Creed. Can you take me higher? And they fly in.
Hilarious.
Yeah, watch that video. It's become a meme now. You kind of have to watch it on Thanksgiving every year. Yeah.
I'm looking at that.
And they have a children's choir, and there's lots of choreography. There's marching band. You know, it's one of those big stadium performances. It's probably all set to a track. They're probably lip syncing because it's really hard to
how do I
perform
find
live
this
at
video?
stadiums. Creed Thanksgiving.
Oh, Creed Thanksgiving performance.
Yeah.
Halftime spectacular.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've seen this.
Yeah.
Okay. And we'll show the audience in a second.
Yeah. Do you see them?
Yeah, motherfuckers!
Oh, it's the best.
That's awesome. Yeah, just get it good. Get it back. Get in there.
Love it.
Yeah, that's what they do.
That's what they do. So you're filming aerial silk performers.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll come across these guys one day.
Yeah, maybe we'll be stoked, and they'll be like, "Yo, you guys are the Creed guys."
Yeah.
And we'll be like, "We are."
I wonder where they are now. I was thinking about this yesterday. Where are those aerial silk performers?
You think there's someone's job that holds a fan to their hair at all times?
So
Look
rock stars?
fucking sick. No, they're just those two dudes.
They don't have hair.
Those guys? Oh,
Yeah, they're shaved.
I was looking at the.
Heads.
Sorry, I just want them to have hair so bad.
I think it's kind of great that they don't have
think the
hair,
silk
and
threw
instead
me
they
off.
have the silk is
It's just like I wanted it to be hair.
Yeah. But they have the parachute pants, which is
Yeah.
great. So the pants look flowy.
So is there someone with the fan on the pants?
Yeah.
All times.
Yeah. I mean, they're flying through the air, so
Do you think you need a college degree for that?
to hold the fan.
Probably these days.
I'm sure that there's a lot of PAs that are made to hold fans on set that
Yes.
have college degrees.
You want to start a university?
I think that PAs should, there should be like a field of study specifically for PAs so that you can jump in wherever you're needed on a set.
Yeah.
But instead of taking those roles that are so segmented
Mm-hmm.
and saying you should study seriously, but study seriously a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
they're like, nah, you're just gonna get paid like shit. I think that people who are meant to have kind of like SWAT team roles should get paid just as much as everybody else, but with the expectation that you get really good at that.
Yeah. I have been hired as a PA and ended up pulling focus.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and like because the V2 was just tied down, like he was needed elsewhere. And it was just like, we need that done. But they kicked me back a couple bucks. But
Yeah.
I know for a fact I wasn't making what the V2 made.
Yep.
And he was supposed to be doing what I did.
I've worked at companies when I was still working like full-time day jobs that I was like, this company needs like a SWAT team that can go and take care of projects that have been like on the backlog for too long. And they should know a little bit of everything, and there should be a place for people who like doing those kind of roles without demeaning them and paying them less because they just like doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's like the one thing that's been really weird. Like a couple of times when we worked for light action, whatever, we work for light action sometimes.
Yeah.
Hi, Milos.
Hi, Milos.
I felt a little bit weird, like, because I was just hired as the V1, and it was kind of like they needed someone hired as a V1. Cool. So I got the role. And a couple times I walked on site, and everything's set. And the time that you did it the day before me, I walked on, and you go, yeah, you just turn it on. I'm like, what? And then sometimes I feel bad.
That's
video my
engineering.
job, and homies like Kunil, I know, might not be getting paid the same rate.
Yeah.
And especially if they're just hired as a camera op or just hired for XYZ, you know, whatever. But I'm like, that motherfucker takes time to tape down cables. Like, I just
Kunil's
walked in.
passionate.
Yeah, I'm like, I just walked into the shit, flipped the switch. Here we go. And so production's funny like that. But yeah, I agree where, yeah, if you're
it's hard to quantify
It
like
is.
the value of those roles, which is why they've been relegated to entry level so often. But
Yeah.
I don't think we should do that. I think, you know, you can see the value that people bring if you have more conversations with them. You can find
Absolutely.
out like what did you do today? What did you do for this show, this gig? If you just like talk to people more.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, I mean, this is just a human condition, but people are going to be way more happy to tell you what you want to, not tell you what you want to hear, but give you the information that's relevant if they feel like they're getting taken care of. You know what I mean? Because they know next time they're going to be taken care of. And the next time.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, if I don't feel like I'm getting taken care of, I don't know. A lot of the times it's like, it's not like I don't want to work hard. I'll work hard while I'm there, but as an incentive to, you know, if someone's asking me, oh, what happened?
Yeah.
You know, to actually go into detail and explain to them what we could do better for next time, or versus just like, you know, fucking accidents happen, man. See you next time, whatever. But
we've definitely worked with people who are so burnt out on it all, or, you know, maybe they just came in burnt out on something, on life, and are in the mode of, I've never experienced this problem before. I give up.
yeah. Yes. I won't say the company name.
Yeah,
but
they sent a person onto one of our shows.
But yeah, so we can talk about Brickworks.
Oh well, yeah, we love Brickworks.
Yeah, we love Brickworks. I don't know what.
Yeah,
I
I brought you in for the Brickworks shows, and because they were one of my favorite clients. We love working with them. The team there in New York City all the people there are so nice so friendly and accommodating, and they listen to us when we, you know, you actually told them like, hey, we should really get some
the in-house cards
storage. You said we need just like media storage because we film so much for them.
Yeah,
and that's something I have to work on before the next show because. Basically, they're like, oh, you really think so? In your professional opinion? Okay, good. We're good with that.
Yeah.
And just send us like what we should buy for our venue, and we'll buy it, and then we'll have storage at the venue. So like that, you recommended that. I was just busy thinking about other things, and you'd put it in the show notes. You were like,
I think it works though because they're a company that goes the extra mile.
They do.
We're people that go the extra mile. So it's like they trust us because of that. And then we can bring suggestions like that to them. They're open to hearing that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just nice. Yeah, definitely. They're the best. But Brickworks, we do lots of video. Sometimes very, very simple video.
Simple videos. But it's, you know, it's mission critical. They gotta.
Oh, it is 100%. Just simple doesn't mean not important.
All the people that they work with, they're really passionate about media, and, you know, they're architecture firms. So
yeah.
Like detail is in the business.
Yeah, I would say they do a really good job of keeping themselves on brand, even down to the way that their pictures are color graded and all like the buildings aesthetics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive, to be honest.
Yep.
So company from He Who Shall Not Be Named. We were doing an easy little shoot, and I was just monitoring the audio, and right as they go up, audio kind of like cut, or I don't know exactly when it was, if it happened earlier and then I couldn't tell because no one was at the mics, but I wasn't hearing anything, and this dude was, you know, at least like...
You asked him, did you check the mics? And he said no.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I hired you for that one. I wasn't on site for that. I brought you in
I
as
gave you show notes. This is how you know.
camera
this.
op.
Yeah.
Yes, you gave me the show notes. And you basically just had to make sure that you were getting the recording on the camera.
Yep.
And there should have been another backup record on the console because that console can just record to a hard drive. But some other company sent a guy on site who walked up to that audio console, didn't check the mics, and then when it was like ready to go, you were so used to working with our guy Slokey.
Yes, who's just incredibly
Slokey.
articulate.
Yep. That you were like, okay, like everything should be ready. And then you're like, wait, I'm not getting audio. Guy said, I didn't check the mics. And that's mind blowing. It's what?
I was like, wait.
What do you mean you didn't check the mics?
Yeah, no, we did like, he turned them on and did like the tap test before, and they had asked for a change, and that's when he hadn't checked them.
He didn't check it after it changed.
So yeah, we hadn't checked them a second time, and it was just like a lazy assumption by him to not go and check it a second time, right? I forget what exactly changed, but
so you lost the audio.
So didn't have audio coming in, but this is why we solidify Brickworks as a client, and this is why you always go above and beyond no matter what. Because one, I knew this gig was important to Dolphin, so I'm sitting there freaking out. Here's my little side point. When it's important and like something's happening, when a problem goes down, I at least want you to act like you give a fuck.
Yeah.
Even if in your back of your head you don't, and even if like whatever, like, and even if you don't really know what you're doing to fix the solution, like, let's at least try some shit.
Yeah.
Like, I hate when, like, this man literally
gave up.
And when I was I couldn't believe that he was sitting there while this panel is going on, knowing that he just didn't do his fucking job, and he's just gonna sit back and relax. It's like, how you even have the capacity to relax right now?
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? It's like you.
I'm way too anxious.
So that blew my mind. That he just didn't care. I couldn't believe someone would just in that position. Like, it really, like, he gave up. Like, that was the bottom line. It was like, what just happened?
Keeping calm is one thing.
Yeah.
You'd have to stay calm.
Yeah.
Because if you are reacting super emotionally, it makes it worse.
I mean, of all people, I react emotionally.
Yes.
And so I can't say X, Y, or Z about other people doing that. But I don't fucking give up on shit.
You don't give up.
I will
at least trying to
hammer
fix
that
it.
bitch home until I figure it out.
I've seen people.
I apologize if I freak you out while I'm doing it, but it'll get done.
Yeah, you'll get better at it over time.
It's
I've been in the industry a little bit longer than you, but you figure out how to put it all into context. It's just gonna make your life. Anybody who's like in a job in an industry that requires like humans to be present and actively working on something mission critical stuff, whether you're an airline pilot or in AV or in emergency response, those types of roles, you figure out how to balance the emotions with and the anxiety and the emotional responses to things with the checklists, like all the troubleshooting checklists that you need to do to accomplish a difficult task.
Yeah.
So, you figure out tricks and how you personally can move forward in a sustainable way. Yeah, I'm stronger than ever in that capacity. I've always been looking for ways to improve that.
Yeah.
And I can emotionally detach from the task and keep forward momentum on troubleshooting.
Yeah, I've watched that
problems
live, and it's pretty fucking cool. But
you have helped me actually in that realm because of the Mason Maxim.
The Mason Maxim.
Yeah. The Mason Maxim is...
So here's a really good production tip. If you ever need to do crowd control on your client, you just tell them that we're ready. We just need like 5 or 10 more minutes.
Yeah, well, the Mason Maxim specifically, without any set-in-stone time buffer, is, don't worry, we already figured it out. We're just waiting.
That's the Mason
That's
what I said to Madison like 4 times that day when we were trying to figure out the TriCaster.
Which was the case because it's not, when you say that, you're not lying.
I'm
It's,
like half telling the
you
truth.
know,
Which is what
you
I wanna
know
be
the
doing.
checklist. Like if a thing goes wrong, and you have been in the field for a little bit of time, you can kind of imagine like all the different points that things can go wrong, even
Yeah.
if you don't know the gear specific, like a specific piece of gear super well,
Yep.
or you're just like a little shabby on it.
Mm.
You haven't been on it recently.
Yeah.
You know a bajillion things that you can try to get it to work. So you really, in the
What-
scheme of things, have, you know what's wrong. You just have to get through all of the checklist items.
Yeah. So I was just trying to buy Dolphin time while he ran through all the checklist of things that could happen.
Yep.
By repeating the phrase, "We're ready." Or wait, we already had it figured.
We
he
we
knows
fig-
it better than I do.
we figured it out. We're just waiting.
It's good. It works a lot.
And we did literally, it was like I had made a quick, the problem that had happened was we weren't seeing a NDI feed where we needed to see it.
And we were doing a
Broadcast.
It was the yearly
broadcast.
investors meeting
Right.
to an entire publicly traded company's
Yeah.
investors.
Yes.
So a little bit of a
They're-
big dizzle.
Yes.
Got it done
And
just a couple minutes before go time.
before go, but we got, yeah,
But you went.
we went. It was go time and we were ready. But yeah, the thing that solved that specific problem was the switch that we were using, the network switch, was a managed switch, and we were just supposed to be in a dedicated port. But this was like an installed in-venue switch that had a lot of issues because of an emergency that they had in the venue where there was a leak and there was water and they had to take all the gear out and then reinstall the gear. And the ports were just all messed up. And I did not realize, I thought it was like an unmanaged switch that I could just plug into anything. And then, but in the back of my head and in that checklist item was try other ports. But it was lower on the priority list because I thought it was unmanaged.
Yeah.
And then, you had was that Mike on the phone?
Yeah, so we had
So
our
Mike
good
got on
friend
the phone.
to tie this full circle.
The
Mike, I
half-pipe
just did
Mike, yeah.
episode 4. Well, we just went to Mike's half pipe. The half pipe we were talking about, the vert ramp.
Yeah.
And he was episode 4.
Yep, I
on
saw
this
you had him
podcast.
on the podcast.
So go listen to that if you want more production shit.
Yep.
But yeah, so we were FaceTiming Mike at the Brickwork studio. And Mike's great with the TriCaster and troubleshooting just random equipment. He's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And
He gave me some checklist items to go through.
yep.
It turns out that I had already gone through all of them, but it was nice for him to help me confirm that I was looking at the right things.
Yeah, it was nice. He put on his glasses and was like,
Yeah.
okay,
He
show
was
me.
looking at the FaceTime, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I tried that.
He's the
And I was
man.
like, okay, Mike, I've got a few more checklist items to try, but thank you for giving me some confidence here in fixing this. And then as soon as I hung up the phone with him, I just went to try different ports on the network switch, and I was like, all right, now we're ready.
Now we're ready.
We figured it out. Now we're ready.
She's like, yeah, I know. We're
Yeah.
like, yeah, you do.
I love Madison so much. She's just great to work with.
I know, she's super cool. That was funny, man. She like totally came out of her shell at that other one.
Yeah, we gotta.
She had the EDM music going the day before.
Oh yeah, when we were doing the walkthrough,
Yeah.
she had the EDM music playing on the
Kat,
radio.
Kat Loto's got the playlist up. She's like,
Yeah.
nah, this is mine. I'm like, hell yeah.
Madison was going to see a show that she was very excited about. It was a Stutter House DJ at Elsewhere,
Yeah.
and you could
Do you
probably
remember who
figure out
that artist
is.
was? No, I couldn't
No,
remember, but she was playing
Madison
that
was
day.
very excited for the Stutter House DJ.
They were good. That real heavy. Yeah.
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 And then the stutter. So she had fun. I caught up with her after that. She was
Oh,
like,
did
yeah, we had a lot of fun. He was apparently, so I went on Reddit.
I kind of want to go.
It was fun. It was definitely, if you liked Stutter House, that was a show for you. But
Yeah.
if you wanted to see like impressive DJing, not the show for you.
No, I just wanted
because
to
I
rage.
saw on Reddit after Madison had seen the show that people were like, "Yo, he was so bad at mixing though. Like it was bad mixing, but it was good stutter house."
Yeah.
And I asked Madison. Madison was like, "I had so much fun." And I was like, "What do you think about this Reddit post?" And Madison was like, "Oh, I agree, but I had a lot of fun."
That's funny.
Yeah.
What else?
Classic. I want to know what art is inspiring you right now.
Ooh. Remember that guy Cosmodernism
I think so.
that I sent you on Instagram?
The VJ?
Well, he set up his whole studio with the crystals and the lasers and shit.
He does
So he does like
in-camera VJing.
in-camera VJing, but he does organic material.
Sure. Like IRL objects processed through a camera.
Exactly.
IRL light sources and objects.
Yeah, so, but it's cool because he takes just different, so water, like, oil will sit in water and separate. So he'll take chemicals and different substances that will do that with each other, and then he'll fill those different substances with like iron fillings or like different magnetic, things, and then drag it around with a magnet, or use different sources of like 15 small different little magnets, and it'll all go like and make all the patterns with the 15, right? And then he moves those around, and he does a lot of cool shit with just lasers, liquids, and definitely look him up. He's probably doing some of the coolest in real life visuals right now.
I personally love taking it out of the box.
Yeah.
Taking for digital art, trying to find a way to take the digital art, put it out into the real world.
Yeah.
And then recapture it with a camera or some other sort of sensor.
Yeah.
Take it outside of the box.
I was stoked on the project that I finished this summer with the kid Griffin that I'm working a lot with, Far As Mine. So I did a macro, like, the little train villages.
Yeah.
So our friend Bobby...
Oh, you showed me the clips of this.
Yeah, so Bobby Rothschild, episode 3, or 1, or whichever. So Bobby is an art collector, but he's a collector of many like fascinating trinkets and artifacts and things. And he every year sets up an immaculate train village or Christmas village, and it's like 2 stories on these tables and all built up. And like this dude, a couple of Bobby's friends actually built like this little custom table that we stacked together and whatever for the trains. It's got like 70 houses on the fucking thing, like 10 50 like trains flying around the track at one time, and they're all like the nice metal ones, the nice models, and all the houses move, all the houses have like all those little things. So what I did is I took these little actually I'll tell you the whole story of the shoot. So I was living at Bobby's house,
right,
and I was living with Danny.
So
Danny's Bobby's son. My friend from skating.
Okay.
And so Danny's a lot younger than me, but we've been friends for a long time just through skateboarding, and I hit like a rough time, just like didn't really have a spot to go immediately, and Danny was like, just come live in the basement, it's all fucking good. And it was great. They got a sauna in the basement, and they got a fucking kitchen down there, so I was like just
comfortable
set,
space, yeah.
Just straight set. There was an Andy Warhol silk print in my room, so no shortage of good art to look at either. And so super stoked being there, and I was there for like a few months, but like a month in, while we were setting up this train village, I'm like, I really wanted to film a video for Bobby for either Christmas or his birthday or something, and like use the train village as like a thank you for letting me stay there, make it an art piece, like make a real art piece from scratch for him with sentiment. And so one night I took a nice little fat eighth of mushrooms, and I was just like in Danny's basement, and I was going through like a hard thing mentally, worked through it, all good, listening to some nice music, and then I just got this like burst of energy. I was like, ah, fuck. I'm gonna shoot that thing right now. And just like, it was like, and I just like erected off the floor and grabbed all my camera shit and just like a psychopath. Danny was upstairs just making, Bobby wasn't home. He was somewhere on a trip for like 3 or 4 days. And it was just me and Danny, so we were just like booling out and just like enjoying. And Danny's upstairs making some food, and I just come upstairs with my speaker just like just techno, just ready to fucking rip all my camera gear. And he just walks me like walk by the doorway. He's like, "What you doing there, bud?" I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." So used my my Tamron 150 to 500 millimeter lens. It's got a nice macro setting on it, and didn't have a story in mind. Just started shooting, and while I was shooting some of like the moving parts in the train, I broke one of the houses because I tried to use my drone to fly over the village. And it was just too windy.
Business.
It was just too windy. It was fine, but like I was blowing over the little trees, so I was like, okay, this looks like, and you could just see it clear as day on camera. So I'm like, okay, this is not working. And I'm like, whatever, scratch the idea. But while I'm like putting up all the little light posts and characters and shit and bushes and little signs that I knocked over, because dude, this village is like intricate. There's all these little props and stuff. I fucking knocked one of the houses over and smashed on the floor. I was like, oh no. So I'm tripping out mushrooms. So I'm like, oh god, the house. I'm like, oh. So I run downstairs and like put it in my room, and I'm like, oh, but like Bobby wouldn't give a fuck, right? Like he wouldn't care. Like it's fine, totally. But I'm like, oh no, the house. And then these little characters like fell off of it, a guy and a girl. So I was like, I'm like looking at the characters. I'm like, my characters. So I run upstairs with the characters. And I'm like, okay, now I have my story. And so basically the first like half an hour, 45 minutes of filming it was just random, like cool, pretty, like B-roll footage, doing like a lot of like nice camera movements, like it's really hard to fucking shoot handheld with a 500
macro 500 millimeter.
So like trying to use my tripod like as much as I could and try and like put stuff on wheels and get like camera movement and all that. And so then I have my B-roll. I'm all stoked because now I have my characters.
Uh-huh.
And at the time I was like really into this one girl. I'm gonna say her name, Jess. I won't say her last name.
Hey, Jess.
She's the shit. But I obviously wasn't going to work out.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, whatever, just like thinking of like love stories in my head like at the time. So I was like, that's what I'm going to do. But it just felt like I was chasing after something that wasn't going to happen. So that's what I made the fucking story. I was like, yeah, guy chasing girl around the little village. So that's what the story is like I'm like, okay, the first scene that I shot was like this little bookstore. So I'm like, okay, they'll meet. He'll see her at the bookstore and be like, oh, you know, whatever. So I do some shots. And it's funny because I do like cross angle, like with macro. So you see like the bookstore and then you see him like looking at her and whatever. So, you know, she's running around the village. And I knew kind of this is what the story was going to be. And so I started editing this thing and whatever. The end of the story is like, you know, they get together and they buy like a little house because there's this house with like a for sale sign on it. So I put them up and like, oh, that's the ending. And so I'm editing this thing for like a month. Don't know what the fuck to do with it.
You showed me
Don't
a rough
know
cut.
what the fuck I even did. I'm like, oh yeah, the rough cut was garbage. It had good visuals, but it had like no direction.
It was great. Yeah.
And like, so I had like, again, yeah, so I shot all this stuff. I had great footage, and then I edited really sick, really psychedelic visuals, in my opinion. And I was happy with what I made, but the one thing that I couldn't figure out was the song to use. And so I really like the song Past Life by Tame Impala. Do you know that song?
No.
It's more of like it's like half an interlude. Like, it's a song, but like, it's real trippy.
Sure.
And it's just about him, like, I saw a girl the other day in the reflection. I turned around, whatever. And like, it was like, was she really there, or was it from a past life? I forget the lyrics. And so that's the song. It was like, you know, I just felt like I was chasing something from the past, you know, in this particular situation. But I wanted the project to be mine. So from the get-go, I had this bad feeling in the back of my head. I was editing this video to the song. It was another good song, Past Life by Selena Gomez. That's fucking sick. And so I was like, oh man, I'll take the first half of Past Life by Tame Impala and mesh it with the second half of Past Life by Selena Gomez. And so I'm editing this thing. It's like 7 minutes, and then it's 6 minutes, and then it's 5 minutes, and then now the song doesn't fit. And then I knew from the beginning that I shouldn't even have used songs that I can't copyright anyway, because I wanted to own the entire piece of art, and I didn't want it to make it for somebody else or whatever. So then I was like, I was going to use one of your songs. I was going to use Ultra Year, but now that's the intro for this podcast. And but it just didn't work, like, with the story and whatever, until my buddy Griffin. This was like, I didn't even really know, I don't even think I knew Griffin yet. Like, really. I knew this kid from skating, mutually. Just, you know, whatever, in passing, talk sometimes, cool, didn't know about him. And ran into him again at a poetry event. At the shout out Allie and Danny Space of Balance. The poetry events were fucking sick. And I met Griffin at one of these poetry open mic nights. And Griffin just went up there and spit. I went up there, did my thing. We immediately were like, yo, who are you? And started talking. And he ran into me again at the Stone Pony, again at Allie and Danny's event on New Year's. That was cool. And he was like, I have a lot of like work I'd like to do with you. Went over to his house. We started discussing. He's playing his music immediately. It's like fast friends. I'm like, where the fuck have you been all my life? You know, it's just like, what the hell happened? So he's playing a couple of these songs. Known Griffin for a couple months at this point, and I'm going through his SoundCloud, and this song called Golden I click on comes on, and it was just like fucking obvious as day that was the song to use. And then it was like, oh wow, but Griffin wants to work with me anyway, so now we can copyright this together and I'll own it. Like, holy shit, like, this is it. Like, not only did I feel like that was the perfect song, but it was the perfect solution to the whole problem. So I edited the 6-minute version down to 2.5 minutes. And it's the fucking, and John Mayer always says that he writes his solos complicated and then takes away notes, takes away notes, takes away notes, takes away notes. Because when you can do the same thing simply, why complicate it? And like, dude, he's got mind-melting solos. So that was my theory with it. Just take anything that wasn't the strongest fucking clip and just shave it away. Because now I had to turn 6 into 2.5. And the shots that I came out with were just like, that was the core. Like right there, just that section that I came out with, it was like, holy shit, that was the best of it. And good. Like, ends right there. Good. I didn't have any more clips in the hopper that were as good as the 2.5 minutes that I used. You know what I mean? The rest of it was just filler for me to try to make an excuse to fit the other song or to fit this story or fit this other bullshit, right? It was not until I just like fully submitted to the project and was like, okay, maybe it doesn't have to be the way I thought it was going to be from the beginning. And then I came out with the best fucking thing. Edited the whole thing. Didn't tell Griffin I was doing it. Sent it to him. I was like, I have a surprise for you. And he was just like, I fucking love it. And it was just like, done. And it was just done.
Done.
9 months of work.
Yeah.
So it was start to finish 9 months for a 2.5 minute video. And dude, I like almost started crying when I was done. I was like, holy shit. Because I would show it to people and like they would just give me the reaction that was like what it should have been. And like I knew what I wanted it to be and it just wasn't that. And I was like trying to get it before it was ready. And that process was awesome. But that was like art as art gets. And just like, just giving up all of the shit that I thought was important, you know, to get to that final result. And I'm so fucking happy with the way that it turned out. And so the little dogma or mantra or whatever at the end is love takes time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like, not only do I love the piece, I love everybody involved and who was from the thought to now Griffin and like the whole process of all of it just took time, but it was so fucking worth it. So that was my little lesson for that whole project. And like what I'm most stoked about.
I can't wait to see it. Has it premiered yet?
No, we haven't premiered it yet.
Nice. Are you gonna like put it in a film festival or something?
I don't know what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna do like probably like a premiere of Griffin and like probably stack up a couple videos that we premiere in the same night, and then he does like a performance along with them or something along those lines. I think that's what he wants to do, but I don't know. We're kind of again, he is such a pure artist that I'm extremely open to like whatever direction that he wants to go.
There's a independent film screening space in Brooklyn here. They call it Millennium Film.
Okay.
And I've seen performances there.
Really? Millennium Film?
Yes.
Remember that, Griffin? Millennium Film.
Yeah, Millennium Film. Just a little independent spot, and they do lots of film screenings, and you can also just go, they'll have like open screening nights. It's like an open mic, but for films. You can go.
That's sick.
Throw it up on the...
There you go.
Okay.
Oh. I thought that was an audio thing.
Oh.
Nice. So what'd you put in my water here, buddy boy?
So during our camera battery break, I put in essence of passion fruit.
Okay, it is on the...
Oh, good.
Which was the original?
Vanilla and lavender.
Sorry, what did you put into my water?
I fragranced your water with passion fruit, vanilla, and lavender.
You sure did.
Yes, sir.
So Dolphin put me on to putting essential oils in my water, specifically my seltzers, and it's fucking good.
Yeah.
Wait, screw your chair like a half inch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're in frame.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, guess we're locked into that.
What if I did that as the host? I'm like, no, can you put your feet like this? Thanks.
All right, ready to go.
Record. We're using each other's footrests for the only audio listeners. Dolphin put me on to putting essential oils in my water, and it's fucking awesome. You don't need to sweeten it at all. You can with a little coconut sugar, which is really good. Ooh. But you don't have to.
Yeah.
And it's just...
I do love coconut sugar because it's got more fiber than not
fiber.
Than not sugar. Than not. There's sugar, and then there's sugar with fiber in it. So it's like, all right,
why not?
Okay.
And also makes things taste like coconut, which is fucking dope.
Yeah, it's nice.
Can't go wrong.
It's more complex flavor.
I like it.
Something to taste for.
I'm a complex flavor guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but this is good.
But one time I went over to your dad's house, and you were telling me some stories, some family stories, and you gave me a little roll-on applicator of like a peppermint oil.
I did.
And I just told you off camera that whenever I'm feeling anxious and I need to center myself, I just roll a little bit on my upper lip, just right here.
Yeah.
So I can...
That's the spot. That's it.
I can smell something.
You can use this too. What's really nice, I should have told you this in the summertime, is that you can put this on your neck and it'll cool you down.
Oh.
Like, it really helps.
Yeah.
But don't put too much, then it'll burn.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. My mom, when my mom was alive, she was a health coach for people specifically with chronic pain. So my mom had cancer 4 times before she ended up passing away a few years back now.
Mm-hmm.
She passed away of breast cancer, bone cancer, and biliary cancer. It was a really specific, I think, like what she had, only like 5 people have ever been diagnosed for by the time, it was all over. But
Crazy.
Metastatic breast cancer originally. And so she was always getting fucked over just by doctors and pain medicines and, everything. She had double mastectomy. Wait. That's not true. She has single mastectomy. But still, because of that lost muscles in her chest, that would give her chronic migraines if she was to use her one side too much. It would just strain all the nerves, and it was just no good. So what this stemmed from is just inflammation. So her whole program and her whole basically mission was to get people with chronic diseases to first look at where their body is inflamed and start there, because inflammation is the root cause of all disease. And it's your body's response to heal. When your body can't heal, that's a disease. So one thing that really helped my mom, just in terms of little things, a lot of it was kind of stopping response triggers that would lead to a lot of these other things for the migraines. So she would, she just had anxiety and stuff like that, and if she would just get too anxious, stuff obviously would affect everything else, and she would get headaches easily and whatever. But one thing that she found through her many neurological studies was the nice subtle but significant effects of essential oils, which I still love. And when she passed away, I took a hilariously big box of essential oils that I love busting out to anybody who says they are into essential oils. I'm like, oh, you think you got them all? Well, I'm a pokey master of fucking essential oils here, because it really is ridiculous how many there are. But Dolphin was over, and so I just give it to people that are interested in it, because she would give away samples. So I have those little roll-on balls. I have 100 of those. So people think it's so funny when I make them their own little essential oil take home. That's like a glass roll-on.
It was very nice of you, and I'm glad that you shared stories about your mom, and I got a little piece of that history to take with me and use to center myself, especially when my mind is too busy.
Yeah, it's nice. It's just I use a couple of the natural citrusy wood ones sometimes in the morning. I use the breathe one a lot. I'll bring that into the steam room with me. The breathe one's really good. But yeah, it does, if you can just sit there and not be like, this is bullshit.
Yeah.
This is stupid. Go.
I was recommended.
Actually, just relax.
I was recommended by a anxiety counselor, who specialized in PTSD, not something that I suffer from, but was a very helpful anxiety counselor to step down my senses. There's a name to this technique, but you basically start with 5 things that you can sense in your environment with one of your senses, down to just one thing that you can sense with a sense that you don't think about so often. Usually it's taste or smell or touch or something, but it's what's 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you could feel, 2 things you could taste, 1 thing you could smell, something like that.
Okay.
So it's just a nice thing to add, especially when you live in New York City and in an apartment with a bunch of roommates. There can be a bunch of chaotic smells. So it's nice to bring the focus down to like a few smells instead of all of the smells. So that's why I like to put a little bit right under my nose, so I could just be like center myself there.
Your roommate's a big shitter.
Oh no! Hookline's poop is not particularly smelly. Shout out Hookline.
Shout out Hookline.
Yeah, he's over there getting work done in the studio. He's a music studio right over there. But like cooking smells, like the kitchen's right outside my bedroom, so like there'll be like a ton of like cooking smells and if something's happening on the street, then like right outside my window, then there's a ton of smells out there. So it's a nice little smell to center myself on. Peppermint, how nice. How nice.
You got curry, bathroom,
oh yeah,
street.
God forbid somebody starts making seafood. We got 2 kitchens. We got a kitchen there and a kitchen there. And I live right outside of both of them.
You don't want me to make kimchi right outside your door?
Oh, that smells. That is smells.
I'm going to keep my olives here. Is that okay with you?
You're going to ferment some olives.
Yeah, they're just open top olives. So I don't know if you're okay with that or not.
Well,
but
my family heritage was from olive grove making olive oil in Italy.
Really?
In Calabria.
I mean, I forget how uber fucking Italian you are.
Not super Italian.
Your mom
I'm like
is.
half.
Maybe you're not.
I'm half Italian, half American in my heritage.
Okay.
The American side is just like too far back to be of any big heritage claim to anything from a different culture.
Yeah.
And then, but one of my grandparents was born. He was the first of his siblings to be born in the States, and a bunch of his siblings were born in Italy. And then my grandmother's family is a little bit more American. They've been here a little bit longer, but they're from Sicily, and my grandfather's family's from Calabria.
Yeah.
And my grandfather's family made olive oil in the old country.
Interesting.
So I love olive oil. And I'm waiting on import of some Novello oil. So Novello is like the freshest of olive oils.
Mm-hmm.
Right when they harvest it in the fall.
Yeah.
And then they use mechanical process to extract the oils, no cooking. So you don't miss out on any fragrance.
Yeah.
It doesn't cook out. You get all the fragrance.
That's cool.
Which is pretty common. It's actually more rare to find chemical or like heat separation of the oils because it's just easier in 2023 to just buy the machines to separate the oil mechanically.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a higher quality product, so why not?
Do you know what kind of process that is? I don't.
I think they spin it really fast.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a
the
centrifuge.
salad spinner?
Yeah, it's like a industrial salad spinner. Yeah.
That's rad.
Something like that.
I'd like to see that.
I think it's like pressed and then spun
like
to extract
something
like that. Yeah. Pressed and then spun. I don't know. I'm not an expert on olive oil, but I do love high quality olive oil. I have a membership. Funny enough, my grandfather gave me a membership to Costco, and I get a lot of my olive oils from Costco. So I usually splurge on like 1 or 2 like really nice olive oils. Inevitably for my birthday, a bunch of people buy me fancy olive oils for my birthday, and then I chip away at those all year. But I always order at least one. I pre-order a Novello from somewhere fancy, and this one is from Spain. I'm going to get one from Spain. Last year it was all Italian olive oil.
Now we're venturing out.
I did have one Greek fancy olive oil from last year, and I just finished that recently. That was the last one. So I'll have you over. We'll get some nice bread.
Ooh. Yeah, go to a nice little bakery.
Yeah, there's a bakery it's like Stephanie's or something like that. Stephanie's Bakery. I can rollerblade there and pick up bread, and I'll call you as soon as I get that Novello in.
Hell yeah.
And we can
we
can smell it and taste
party.
it. Yeah. Put it on some broccoli rabe.
Oh, beast.
And bread, and what else? Oh, you can actually pour olive oil on chocolate cake.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird.
It is.
Have you had
But you
that?
can do it. No, I actually have never tried doing that, but I've heard of people doing that.
What is that?
Or dark,
is
you
that?
could drizzle it on dark chocolate, just straight up chunks of dark chocolate.
Really?
Nom,
People
nom,
do
nom.
that?
Olive oil people do it.
Olive oil people do it?
Yeah.
Like, it's hints of cayenne. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
It's chocolate.
Yeah, you can do that. But yeah, I've had olive oil cakes that are really good. If you make a more neutral cake, it might be more
Yeah.
of an olive oil experience than stacking the chocolate with the sugar, with the cake, with the olive oil. But yeah, bread is classic, and vegetables is classic. A salad, a nice salad.
A salad.
A nice spinach. I like spinach salad best. What's your favorite for salads?
I don't eat a lot of salad.
No?
Nah.
Do you have a favorite salad, or you don't even think about it? You don't give it that much time?
Nah. I don't even, honestly, it doesn't do it for me.
No?
Like, I get my vegetables elsewhere.
You
I'm
so how do you like vegetables?
I like to cook them better. Not ton. I like to saute
Nice saute.
spinach. Yeah. Usually what I do now is just take mushrooms, peppers, spinach, or maybe something else, whatever, and just throw that in a pan.
Yeah.
Let it chill out,
Oh.
and then just make some beef or rice or whatever, and then I kind of just either mix it together or don't, depending on what form.
Yeah.
And whatever. But honestly, salad, I don't fucking for the amount of like shit you're eating. It's not that much nutrients.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You can cook
It's, like,
down your
mostly
leafy
fucking
greens and
water.
stuff. Right. Yeah.
And I just think that
It's harder to eat too.
it's harder to eat
When you get
like,
big pieces of leaf and you're like,
That's what I'm saying.
You gotta get
And,
in your
like,
mouth.
You can get so much fiber and nutrients sautéing spinach because it cooks
the
down.
fiber's still there.
And
yeah.
dude, like a wad of spinach that you can eat in one bite is like 20 leaves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That you're like individually like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
man, this one I only got 2 leaves, and this one I got 5 leaves. Ooh.
And I'm like more of a meat and potatoes type of person. Like I like the savory stuff.
A nice hearty dish.
Yeah, like a hearty dish, but I try not to eat like shit. So like just cooking the vegetables is like the happy medium.
Nice.
But like yeah, I think I don't know, salad cheese don't do it for me. I'm like I need 2 more salads at least every time I finish a salad.
Yeah. No, I don't make a ton of salads because it's cheaper to buy flash frozen vegetables in the freezer aisle anywhere. And you're guaranteed like a certain level of quality from flash frozen vegetables, and because they're flash frozen, you could defrost them if you wanted them to be a little more fresh and raw.
Yeah.
Or you could just throw them right in and just start cooking them.
Cook them.
So I get big bags of frozen vegetables, try and get like interesting mixed bags so I don't have to think about it too much for my meal prep for the week.
Yep, that's smart.
A lot from Costco because I have the Costco membership from my grandfather. Shout out Pasquale.
Shout out Pasquale.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I should make you some. I had a sautéed spinach recipe that really slapped this week. I made some sautéed spinach and I was like, oh my god, I should have made more. This is so good.
I love that.
I put a little bit of egg yolk in it to emulsify the sauce.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's interesting. What
Whoa,
kind of
that
sauce?
tasted
like heavy
good.
Cream sauce? What kind of how'd you
No,
make sauce?
I didn't add a ton of cream. I love cream. I love adding milk to sauces.
Yeah.
But this one, it was just like a bunch of spices that I had and olive oil. And I just wanted it a little bit more emulsified, so I just threw the egg yolk in there. If I was going to make it for like meal prep, I would, in addition to the egg yolk, put in some sodium citrate So you mix baking soda and lemon juice, and it does the chemical reaction, turns into sodium citrate. And then you could put that in any sauce, and it will emulsify not just like pieces of starch, like little tiny pieces of starch in between your water and your oil.
What?
But it will molecularly emulsify it all together. And that's how they make like Velveeta. They use a molecular emulsifier to take their cheese, their proprietary cheese blend, and make it gooey, permanently gooey.
No
they
way.
put not sodium citrate, because the citric acid's more expensive than the acid that they use. But that's how you can make like a meal prep sauce that won't break apart when you reheat it. Since you make a lot of stews and stuff,
Yeah.
you probably notice like some of the fat comes out.
Well, here, I cook a lot with beef broth.
Right.
Instead
so you
of
could-
like water.
Yeah.
So you cook down all the nutrients and you just don't have the liquid, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, that would be cool because you could make like more saucy broth stuff
Yep.
with
And
that.
then-
That's nice.
And then also xanthan gum's a good ingredient you can add to that stuff. Xanthan gum's good to have on hand because you can use it as a thickener. And you can also use it for like smoothie shop quality smoothies. If you've ever,
Oh my! Is that how they make them like that?
that's how they make them good, so that they're thick
That,
and
like,
they don't
nice-
separate, and the ice you know when the liquid all settles to the bottom of a smoothie? Xanthan gum.
No shit.
Yeah. And xanthan gum's just a root, you know.
So that's funny because you know what? I just figured out how the coffee shop that I always go to makes the smoothies so banging.
Yeah.
One, they have those $1,000 blenders that are like, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, get it all nice and even real quick.
But it's like they've been blending for 5 minutes and it's still like marbling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How it's like, how did it not?
Yeah.
But it did. And then that makes sense. Okay.
Yep. A
'Cause
decent blender and some xanthan gum. And Starbucks does I don't know about other coffee shops, local and otherwise, but I know Starbucks has a pre-mixed in a squirt bottle of xanthan gum and simple syrup that
That's hilarious.
So they
Yeah,
take
yeah.
some steps out of it for their frappuccinos.
Yeah.
I used to love frappuccinos.
With the xanthan gum?
Yeah,
Can you make it?
I've become more of a latte guy recently because I love milk.
Yeah.
And I love nice fragrant coffee, but I sometimes get a mocha frappuccino to be all nostalgic about high school times when I didn't drink coffee and I just liked coffee flavored milk.
Yeah. Just coffee flavored sugar.
I still do that too. Sometimes I'll just pour a glass of milk. We should talk about weird food habits because sometimes I take like a glass of milk, really good milk. Costco also has a really good whole milk that's very sweet, and I just put instant coffee into the milk.
Sicko.
Yeah, I love milk. I don't know.
Love milk.
I'm a baby cow. I don't know.
Oh, I started making my own milk teas.
Your own milk teas. Tell me about
Fire.
that. I love milk tea.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I know. Like
Yeah.
we vibed over milk tea many of times.
Have I made you bubble tea at home?
Have you made me? I feel like you have.
I have tapioca pearls, so I can make you
Okay.
some for the road.
No, you didn't. You gave
No.
me those strange Japanese candies. That's what I was thinking of.
Ah, yeah.
The milk tea candy.
The mochis.
Yes.
Yeah, the mochis with the tapioca pearl and the milk tea.
Yes.
Gummy filling.
Yes.
Yep.
Those are baller.
Yep.
I really like those. When I met Dolphin at the skate park.
Oh yeah, I when I was learning how to skate, I bought candy to hand out at the skate park because
super
so that
normal, super cool.
Yeah.
Definitely something that the parents are like, yeah, who's that guy handing out
no,
candy?
I wasn't giving candy
No, we
to
weren't
little
giving
kids.
candy to
It was adults who were like, "Oh fuck, a rollerblader! Oh, and he's bad. Oh, I like."
Dolphin's like,
Hey,
you
you
want some candy?"
want some Japanese mochis? And
Everybody is
they
stoked.
they would be like, yeah.
And it's so good. It's like, all right, we're friends now.
Yeah, we're friends. and then everybody would be like, oh, there goes Dolphin. Wait, don't take your lines. Dolphin's learning how to rollerblade. Okay, take your lines. Go.
It's safe.
Yeah, it's safe.
What were we just saying before this?
Weird food habits. Do you have any other
dude,
weird food
the
habits?
milk tea.
Milk
So
tea?
it's nothing like
Nothing weird, but you're making
nothing crazy.
You're making milk tea at home.
But like obviously putting milk in black tea is like a normal thing.
Sure.
But I would get these like, honey, vanilla, chamomile, peppermint, lavender, like, those blended teas.
Sure.
And just start dumping milk into those.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this is the best.
Yeah.
So now sometimes I'll just brew the tea. Need some of this effervescent water.
Yes. Take your time to give it a good cough, like a real... Yeah. I was actually listening to a podcast recently, one of my favorite podcasts, How to Build a Sustainable Music Career and Collect All Revenue Streams by Emily White.
Okay, wait, hold on. We'll get to Emily White in actually 30 seconds. The last thing in the milk tea is you brew it really strong, and then you just add the milk, so it's not like diluted tea,
sure,
but it's a nice, strong milk tea. Sweeten that bad boy with honey, a little light brown sugar.
Some good local honey.
Local honey, raw honey. Raw local honey, light brown sugar.
Yeah.
Fire fucking milk teas. Back to you, Emily.
Love that. Emily White recently had a moment on her podcast where she was filming here in Brooklyn, and she was in front of a live audience as well. So she had something in her throat. I believe she was eating some nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And it got like stuck in her throat, and she kept on trying to like clear her throat, take a sip of water, clear her throat, take a sip of water, while was trying to stay in the flow of recording.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and I had a vocal trainer tell me, like, just cough.
Yeah.
Which is, it's weird in like post pandemic era, because like people are very nervous about coughing in public because they'll get weird looks.
Because I've been a lifetime asthma person, so it's like I'm just like I'm congested. I'm not sick. It just happens.
Yeah.
And like,
but even if you're sick and you're not trying to spread germs, it's better to just cough, because you just get it out and you're done with it, rather than be like for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's like that. We really, you think we don't notice that, bud boy there, guy?
Emily White, love Emily White. Next time, just cough.
I know.
It's fine, just cough.
And it's probably a really good pointer. I'm going to remember that too, because the audience is probably like, yeah, we heard you trying to cough for the first 30 minutes before Dolphin just said cough.
Just cough.
Because these mics are so fucking good.
And we're back.
And we're back.
But yeah, that's a good podcast. Talking about podcasts on podcasts. Creative Juice is, I'm taking music marketing advice from them.
Okay, Creative Juice.
What podcast do you like? Quick recommendations from your peers.
Robert Edward Grant podcast.
Mm-hmm.
He's
for
great.
who? Who's that for?
Robert Edward Grant is the host.
Who's that for? Like, who would listen to that?
Anybody, if you like physics, he is one of the leading astrophysicists
Very
right now.
interesting.
He's one of the leaders in cryptography right now.
Mm.
He owns multiple companies. Extremely interesting. So the guy who has the Nobel Prize for this past year in molecular physics proved that reality through math is only relatively real.
Mm.
So all the things that we go listen to that, because I don't feel like getting into all that right now. But go listen
not our
to
wheelhouse.
No. Go listen to the Relative Reality podcast. But yeah, there's a Nobel Prize handed out within the year of basically proving mathematically that our reality as we experience is only relatively real, meaning it doesn't real is not concrete across the board of human beings and across the board of experience. Experience is experience.
That sounds like Nagel.
Relatively.
Do you know Thomas Nagel?
No. It's a pretty common spiritual belief that, we're all unique, living in like kind of a mesh, half meshed in world, where it's like our universe, but we're half meshed in with everybody else's universe.
Interesting.
But we just proved that mathematically, and that's pretty fucking interesting. So Robert Edward Grant, he's sick. He also is the first one to do precise temperament tuning on a piano, a real piano.
Oh.
So he's the first one to ever do this, right?
Wow.
It's never been done before, what is called precise temperament tuning. And there is geometry for all wavelengths,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we have a C note A note, B note, C note, D note. The differentiation, right? They all have different number value frequencies of their wavelength.
Yeah.
Right? Our ears hear that frequency, however tall or short it is, and then it tells us we register it as a certain sound that we have now labeled A, B, or C, D, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
He has found the exact values where those wavelengths begin and end, and he has split them directly where they are supposed to be split, where there's room for error in piano tuning, even if we're using...
Right, because it's an acoustic instrument. It's not generating something perfect and digital. It's
Yes.
generating, and then like also the sound waves travel through the air, which is also not a perfect
Yes.
medium.
So yeah, but he was able to create the perfect C note through an acoustic instrument, which
Nice.
is kind of cool mathematically.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We can prove that that is technically what a start to finish that is the start of a C note, first where the wavelength starts and the end of the wavelength, and how it connects to the D note. And so he's the first one to do that ever.
Basically, for people who are listening that don't know about temperament, and especially like piano tuning, is that, you know, on the piano, when you have literally a grid of notes that you can trigger with your fingers, the difference between the octaves on most pianos is not a perfect ratio mathematically.
Yeah.
Because of the harmonic content that's created by the string. So when you play a piano string, there's actually a lot of frequencies that come out, not just the root frequency.
Yep.
So those frequencies are not perfectly tuned relative to the notes played on the octave. So in these different temperaments, what the piano tuners are aiming to achieve is a more pleasant listening experience. So this is a new temperament that I guess would lead to. I guess I'd have to listen to him talk about it or read about it.
I would go, yeah, it's super interesting. And the way that he derived all of these numbers was through his research of sacred geometry and how the connection between wavelength in sound and wavelength in color and wavelength in the angles of the shapes that make up these actual the building blocks of these actual frequencies.
Sure. So I'm wondering what the practical advantages of those are. I'm gonna have to read into that and see what this new tuning is able to achieve beyond the other tuning systems, such as equal temperament.
Yeah. Really what he's doing, he is what is like known as a polymath. And Da Vinci was a polymath, and many of the world's greats were. Shakespeare. His entire line of work is connecting the world through math. And so that is all of his companies are practical applications of these same mathematics. And so precise temperament tuning is not the first time he's applied it. He just thought, oh, I can apply these same numbers to a piano, and then ended up being the first person to do something in the piano field. But he's applied the same mathematics to encryption. He's applied the same mathematics to a number of physics, a whole bunch of different fields. But this is my favorite Robert Edward Grant
Give yourself
quote.
a nice good cough there, buddy.
That'll do.
That'll do.
Applied mathematics is geometry. Applied geometry becomes physics. Applied physics becomes chemistry. Applied chemistry becomes biology. Applied biology becomes psychology. Applied psychology becomes sociology. Applied sociology becomes philosophy. And applied philosophy becomes mathematics. And so it's just a nice verbal circle.
Yeah. Interesting.
That describes the world quite nicely.
Interesting to tie back to mathematics from philosophy, because so much philosophy is logic based. It's primarily philosophy is primarily like a discussion of logic and trying to deduce things about our reality and about our experiences without being in pursuit of like actual or like concrete evidence, but more of predicting what theoretical evidence could become. And logic is just like yes, no, 1, 0.
And it's funny because you will never Einstein said, I didn't come to the theory of relativity through my rational mind. And I think that's a testament to real mathematics, is that we're not going to get to the ultimate place rationally. And that's why irrational numbers and the irrationality of this world is so important to get a grip on, and paradox and all that stuff. And that's why it's funny, because I always I always felt that religion was a little, not like, religion's great, I like it, but it has its silliness in where many of the religions are pointing towards the exact same thing, and people focus on the differences rather than the similarities. And your religion is telling you to focus on the similarities, yet you use religion to focus on differences. That's a very silly thing to me. But I love that religion and mathematics are coming full circle now, where they're now proving some of these higher concepts like relative reality and personal realities and stuff like that. And we're actually proving it mathematically. And I always thought that it's the funniest argument that science and religion argument, because both people are trying to get to the same place. I think it's the same for everybody. We're all trying to have a better life. We're all trying to get to the same place. We're all trying to be happier, be better. But science and religion are trying to get to the same place by all balancing the same equation. Religion, basis of religion, and a lot of religions started with the notion that we're all one. And then it could expand to we're all one community, or we're all one religion, or we are all one whatever. And we've just proved now through mathematics that there is relatively only one. And I think that it's funny because we're coming to this little point in the triangle of knowledge here where the odds and ends are meeting in the middle. And they're still yelling at each other about the same exact answer, which is super funny. But I think it's just because, we all want to get to that source. The meaning of religion to people use it to go back to the source, what makes them feel most at home, what makes them feel most loved. And in math, we're trying to balance equations, get back to the one. I think it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear ya.
Little mouth fart. Nice. That'll do. Yeah, we didn't talk about your crystal keytar.
Yeah, what do you want to know about it?
You gotta pitch it.
Oh, okay.
Sell it.
We're working
it's fucking
on.
Sick. Bring it over here.
Oh, thank you.
Bring over here.
So this is the most recent prototype of the crystal keytar. This is crystal keytar Luciana, named after the industrial sculpture artist Luciana Lamoth, and I named it after her because I'm using steel tubing for the structural elements. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see the whole thing, yeah.
Okay. I'll hold it up by your faces.
Yep. No, you're good.
The structural elements of it for this prototype are built out of steel tubing, which was what turned me on to Luciana Lamoth's sculptures in the first place, because we live in New York City. There's tons of scaffolding everywhere.
Oh, you're funny for that.
And she uses scaffolding to make art. So I was
This
like,
is Keytar Luciano.
yeah. So I had all this steel tubing lying around, some EMT tubing, with all these couplers here to build like shelves and music stands and just some like DIY some modular shit together.
Yeah.
And I have been aiming to learn how to use CNC machines to create like a wooden body that houses all these electronics more nicely, efficiently.
Yeah. Aesthetically.
But there were some ergonomics that I had to work out before I took it like straight to a CNC machine and spent like a whole bunch of time, money, resources, energy, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just like looking around and I was like, oh, I got this pile of steel tubing here and all these couplers. Let me like take the electronics that I was prototyping with and just like throw them together on the tubes. And that's what I did. You could see the structure of it is pretty dang simple here.
That's so rudimentary.
Yeah,
it's so rad. But if you heard this thing, it's the least rudimentary performing instrument you're ever gonna fucking hear in your life. So what was the basis of why you wanted to build something like this?
So Keytar is like a funny, quirky hybrid digital instrument, right?
Mm.
It's a keyboard that you hold like a guitar.
Yes.
And when I was first putting together all of my music and in a way that I could present it to the public, I was thinking, man, I love playing guitar and I love playing piano for different reasons, but it's neither one is like perfect for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, oh, Keytar, that's funny. Let me try that. And I bought one that was like bad. And I was like, oh, this is terrible to play. There's got to be better Keytars out there.
Yeah.
And then I got one that was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is like really nice. Like I can really get into this. And I did really get into it to the point where I was saying, this is still not a serious instrument. This is like a prop for somebody else who plays keyboard.
I agree.
And like, all the Keytars on the market were like that. There's one that I haven't tried yet called the Lagla Key that I haven't tried that I think is very compelling. And then I've never seen, I have seen some performances of that, but still didn't seem like what I was looking for. It's super rare Keytar. Then there's the Orphica, or I don't know, picture of it here. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
And that had some compelling features. And with my knowledge of all of the Keytars that have ever existed across history, including custom ones, I was like, the Keytar needs to be more of a serious instrument.
Yeah.
It needs a really long touch strip.
It does.
All these little pitch wheels, and when you're playing a traditional Keytar, when you're moving your fingers on the neck, it doesn't really look like you're doing anything.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't feel particularly good either.
It doesn't have the same, like, I don't know how to play guitar,
right?
But I've been given a chord to be able to strum, or like two,
right?
And even just going one to the two is way more stimulating. One hand, two hand, you feel the vibration going up and down.
Sure.
Way more stimulating. I've played the Keytars, a couple of them that you're talking about,
right?
And just with the hold sustain, and even with the wah and that, the pitch bend. They're plastic elements that feel so far removed from the actual
the music
instrument.
that you're making.
From the instrument is separating like the organic feel of the music. Yes,
of course.
And so this was your idea to make the Keytar a more organic instrument.
Right. So you can basically think about this long touch strip here as a one string on a guitar, but because you have a keyboard here, you can connect the expression on here to all the keys that you're playing. So in Dolphin mode, which is the mode that the Crystal Keytar will ship with when you first pick it up, it almost turns the playing into something like a slide guitar, whereas you strum the strings by pressing a key, and then wherever you touch is just sustain. And then from there, you can bend the pitch. And these are all interval markings here. And I did not make this controller here, but I wrote the software to make it work the way I wanted it to.
Yeah.
So what you should be able to do is play a note, pick your favorite spot on the keytar, press your finger down, and then move that note from there.
Yep.
So you always start from pitch bend 0, and then you move pitch bend to the interval that you want.
Yep.
And in the next version of the Crystal Keytar, you'll be able to do hammer-ons like you would on a guitar, which is natural.
Wow.
Because on a guitar string,
That's it.
you can play a note here, but then if you play a note here on that string, on a gutar or any string
Because you need to be
instrument-
able to separate with 2 hands.
Right.
Yeah.
So you can, a traditional keyboardist would also have to play, move their hand, cross their hands to play really extended parts. So they'd have to.
Yeah.
But this being more of a soloist instrument, you can now do things like hammer on notes. So if you get to the top of the key bed and you don't have any more room to play any notes higher because it's supposed to be a portable instrument that you can hold, you still have some flexibility because you can grab that note, the last note that you played, you grab it and then you move it up.
Yeah.
From anywhere. Grab the note, move it up. And then you can do the hammer-on. So you can grab the note and then just you have the muscle memory that this is from here to let's do 3 whole steps. You do 3 whole steps up or like a major fifth, and then that's the muscle memory that I need to hit that note from wherever I'm at currently.
Yeah.
So if you ever get stuck when you're playing keys where it's hard for you to transition your hand to a note because of the solo that you wrote, the melody that you wrote, or the chord that you wrote, you can quick transpose it by doing a hammer-on. You can transpose it up, or in the other mode, you could transpose it down, where you can put 2 fingers down and then take it off, and then you would bend down.
Yeah, and you said it a little bit, but when you told me this, when you verbalized this, it just made it solidified this as not only a sick piece of equipment, but this is going to be a game changer for people that play instruments like this, because it turns a synthesizer into a solo instrument, a lead instrument.
Yeah.
It turns a keyboard into a lead instrument, a keytar into a lead instrument.
Yeah. Something you could specialize in.
Something where you can hold, strum, and flip off the fucking audience with, because that's what they want.
Oh, yeah.
They don't want you sitting there, are you ready?
Yeah.
No. Are you fucking ready?
Yeah.
That's the difference of what this thing does.
You can perform with it.
Yeah, you can perform with it.
Because this is such a visible expression surface, this long touch strip, you convey to the audience what you're playing and how you're affecting the sound.
Yeah.
This is called cross-modal synthesis, the connection between 2 senses. So you can play a note, and we'll link to a performance where this is plugged in and operable. But if you hit a note on the keyboard here, and then you grab the note on the touch strip, and then you bring it down, people get it. They're like, oh, his hand is moving down and the note is moving down.
Yeah.
I understand. And they connect with it emotionally, and then they get way more into your music than they would have if your fingers are just here and they're doing things and they're like, I don't know what his fingers are doing.
Exactly. Because it's
I don't know. Is that pitch bend? Is that modulation? I don't know what he's doing.
It's exactly right. And if you had a keyboard, the Mr. Crowley by Ozzy Osbourne.
Sure.
So I love that, and it's long, just wow, and that's when you need a lead instrument. I feel because the aesthetic of just going,
right, your body
is not enough.
Your body needs to connect with the music.
Yeah, to get me stoked on the one note. But I feel when you watch Ozzy on stage and he's putting on a show, he's got his hat on, he comes out and is like, "You're about to fucking die."
Yeah.
And he hits that note, it's got a whole different feeling. It just hits so much more different.
And you can
see it.
You can express into that. You know, you can connect whatever your body is feeling like doing, you can put into the note by
and you
moving
can
your
see
hands.
how fired up he is, how passionate that is on stage, and then you watch it come out of the speakers.
Especially since keyboard players with vibrato particularly, you can add a lot of energy into a single note with vibrato. And on a guitar, that looks like something because you're either
Yes.
doing this with the string,
Yeah.
or you are grabbing your whammy bar and you're going like this.
And it's sick to
you can
see
put
that.
your energy into it.
Like, wow, he's physically bending
he's
that
moving
pitch.
the note.
Well, I see that.
So on keyboards, usually what happens is there's just basically like a sideways knob. It's like a wheel, so it's like a sideways knob.
Yeah.
And you basically are just going like,
No one
and
wants
there's
to see
vibrato.
you flicking your little
So
wheel.
that's, yeah, it doesn't look like anything. It's just like, and it's like,
yeah.
I didn't
lose
see the wiggle. I want to see the wiggle.
Yeah.
So on a touch strip like this, all you need to do to modulate your note is just grab and then move however you're feeling. If you're feeling like doing a pitch dive, you do pitch dive. You could feel like just changing the actual note, you could just change the note. Is it higher? Is it lower? If you want it to wiggle intensely, you just gotta wiggle intensely, and then you get your crazy vibrato. You could do a little vibrato, nice and gentle, just a little.
Yeah.
Or you could do like.
And I feel
really
like
get
as
into
your
it.
design gets better and better, you're going to be able to program this thing more and more like an organic string.
Yeah.
To be able to, on the side and flick it and push it and all these
Yes,
different little
well,
variations of movement.
There'll be all these definitely parameters that
Yeah.
you'll be able to. And with the strength with synthesis is that if you're like, I want to do this with my hand, and then I want it to sound like this when I do that. So you just got to know how to program a synthesizer.
Yeah.
So we could, for example, one of the things that you said was like, what happens if you flick the string? So we could program with our multi-touch controller that
You can play from the neck.
we're designing from the. You can actually do something akin to let's say like aftertouch. So keyboard aftertouch is usually like the harder you press down on the note.
Yeah.
After you've played the note, the harder you press down, it sends more data for how hard you're pressing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's aftertouch. It's after you touch it, how hard you're pressing. So we could use that parameter in traditional synthesis programming to be like, well, if you had a string here, and you went like this and you flicked the string, you'd essentially re-strum the string. So because we're designing like a multi-touch surface, we could track your finger moving across the surface.
Yes.
And say that's what like a flick looks like, and then that would essentially send some temporary aftertouch data to re-energize the note that you made. So you go, and it would add more aftertouch.
Dude,
instead of having to physically press down on the key harder, you could flick it and it would.
And that opens up a realm of multiple necks.
You could have multiple necks
that do different things.
If this was a multi-touch surface right now, it's you can only put one finger on this prototype at a time. But if we had this was an XY touch strip, not only could you sense how much of your finger is squished over the surface for like a pressure value.
Yeah.
But you could also say like, well, if I'm touching on this top side of the neck, it's controlling a different thing than when I'm controlling here.
That's what
So now you don't have to think about like really moving your hand too much or choosing a different synth patch, because you can now have more expression under your fingertips at all times, rather than having to like change what the knobs do on your synthesizer, change what the aftertouch does on your synthesizer.
Yeah, it's like if you think guys are obsessed with pedal boards now.
You could even program like this chunk of the neck to do one thing, this chunk of the neck to do another thing, this chunk of the neck. So it's like when I do this up here, let's say we split it in half, right? This is like filter, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
And then this is your pitch bend. You know, so you could do it like that if you felt like programming it as such. I even have a parameter for how many fingers are touching your. So not this prototype, but the next prototype that we will have done soon will be like, based on the number of fingers that you have touching the surface, the touch strip, will trigger a different data point. Namely, we'll use it for what we perceive for guitar playing as pinch harmonics. I was like, I want pinch harmonics on my synthesizer. And that's when you hear like a metal guitarist make really squealy, squelchy notes.
Okay.
Basically what they're doing is they're using the tip of their thumb when they strum their knuckle. When they strum a note, they're actually triggering a certain harmonic on the guitar string. Mm-hmm. And the different positions on the string that you hit your knuckle onto will make it, will basically mute the lower harmonics going up. And because of guitar distortion, like amplifier distortion, it's basically just taking whatever the lowest harmonic is and bringing all the harmonics up to volume because it's squishing it into the distortion.
Interesting.
So I'm like, well, I want that parameter. I want to be able to cancel the lower harmonics in my synthesis engine. So how do you do that? Because there's no place for you to like hit your thumb on a piano key.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, well, that could just be like however many fingers you have touching this touch surface, we can give you access to your pinch harmonics by being pinch harmonic 1, pinch harmonic 2, pinch harmonic 3, pinch harmonic 4, canceling out all those frequencies up the harmonic range.
Interesting.
So I'm very excited for that because I'm like...
See, that's cool because that, to me, is like the full circle of art. Mm. And whoever discovered pinch harmonics didn't fucking know mathematically or verbally why that
they just accidentally bumped their thumb up against the string.
They were like, that shit's cool.
With too much distortion on their guitar.
Yeah.
And then someone... like, oh, that sounds like the 80s.
Yep. And then someone started performing with that. And then someone in the audience went, shit, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
What is he doing? Figured out how to play it at home. Yeah. Saw the thumb thing. That's what he's doing. Now, what is making this sound happen? Crazy that they actually figured it the fuck out.
Yeah.
And then someone was smart enough to explain that verbally. Dolphin had enough knowledge to take that in verbally, process it through his own mind, and then use it in another application that has nothing to do with the original
guitar, which was an accident in guitar playing.
Yeah.
Turned into a new musical instrument.
That's amazing. I love that. That's
Thank you. But anyway, to wrap it up on here, we've got 2 other technologies that we were really passionate about in this project. By the way, shout out to Spencer and Austin on the CRYSTAL KEYTAR team, and Thirister, who also helped out with the project a little bit. The keys, this is, again, we didn't invent this controller, but we want to use keyboard, QWERTY keyboard switches so that anywhere you press on the key is just as easy to press down. On cheap MIDI keyboards, if you play up at the top of the keys, they're really hard to press down because the fulcrum for the pivot of the key is right where your finger is, so it's really hard to press down. So by using basically like a plunger style switch instead, that the whole key travels up and down the same way. So it's very easy to play big jazz chords and R&B chords. It's easy to play solos where your fingers have to be all over the keyboard. Yeah. So linear, not radial keys. Linear keys, not radial keys for the CRYSTAL KEYTAR. And then also the ergonomics of the enclosure, the body, it is angled down because I'm going to stand up and show you what that means. Put it on. Other keytars that are in a straight line or some keytars that are angled up, it means that the keyboard has to be in a really uncomfortable position. So because we've angled it this way...
That is ergonomically better.
It is ergonomically better.
Just where your hands fall.
So...
That makes sense.
So for this, it's where your hands fall, it's where your elbows pivot. When you play guitar, you're used to the neck being up, out at this direction, not vertical. I have a keytar that I have to play like this to be ergonomic. So that's the first thing, is that the neck is in a comfortable position for people who know guitars.
Yeah.
And
then
here, the keyboard has to be angled down at an angle because when you play the keytar, your elbow is supposed to be in the center of the key bed so that you can move your hand up and you can move your hand down, and you're just in the middle of your range of motion for your elbow. So
Oh,
that's why
funny.
we have the neck pointed straight out and the keyboard pointed straight down, so that you can just move your elbow and not have to move like your shoulder or move your body. That's one thing. And then another thing is that you'll also notice that the keyboard's on a wedge. It's tilted up because too many people, and I can actually move the keypad on this prototype. If the keypad's like this, you have to,
Oh.
your wrist is like this.
You're gonna dinosaur it.
So you take these up. Can you hold the keyboard
yeah.
for a second? It's on with Velcro right now.
Yeah.
You tilt these hinges up on this prototype, and then you get the actual ergonomic capacity. Take that back, put it back on them with the Velcro. You get the full ergonomic vision of the Crystal Keytar. Now that the keypad's tilted up, you don't have to flamingo it. A lot of guitarists will have to play with a knee up. You don't have to with the Crystal Keytar. With the Crystal Keytar, you can just stand naturally and not bend your wrist at a crazy angle like this. You can just play like this.
Hell yeah.
And your elbow pivots and your wrist stays straight. You could do all of your proper piano techniques without sitting at a piano with a height adjusted stool. You can now just have it on your body like this.
We should just use this as the demo.
Okay.
You can have this.
I mean, I'll definitely put together like a better demo once we have all
like,
the original electronics.
Yeah, of course. Not like to sell to Best Buy.
Yeah.
To fucking sell to like another programmer who might want to get involved and stuff like that, you know?
Oh, sure,
People
yeah.
on ground level promo.
Oh, yeah, I could definitely use more help. I have to learn how to use a CNC machine and how to design a 3D design for the body of the keytar.
I feel like you should use this to pitch to people that have that knowledge.
Yeah.
That will help you, because it's like if you, all right, have a hand in, you know, like a quarter percentage of sales, whatever, or whatever deal that you can figure out, you know?
Yeah, I've been paying everybody like their hourly rates for development on this stuff. So Keytar Spencer gets his hourly rate, and
Keytar Spencer.
Theorister, I did a trade swap with him. He wanted some vocals for his trance and big room productions.
Mm-hmm.
And Austin hasn't done any shop work for me yet, but he'll be painting it. I'll pay him his rate too.
So the way I'm thinking about this though, for like pre-sale sale, is to bring it like serial entrepreneurs and people that actually have like money to invest.
Sure.
But specifically people that like have, you know, if you were to bring it to like a someone that has a hand in like manufacturing Fender guitars, or you know, very specific, or the piano people.
Vintage Vibe.
Vintage Vibes.
I love Vintage Vibe.
Yeah, shout out Vintage Vibes. So anybody that's in their realm, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Whoever, you know, there could be a key investor in Vintage Vibe. And stuff like this, it's I feel like back end before it's like, you know, where the key investor, or maybe you find someone else that's doing a similar project, and they have but you know.
So one thing that we're doing to kind of hustle along the production of this without having to rely on too much outside money is an investment is we intend to make the neck of the keytar available as a standalone piece of gear that you can later on attach to the keybed when we finish the keybed. But the neck is such a huge part of how to play the Crystal Keytar that we're like, oh, what if we just made it so that you could plug any USB MIDI keyboard
I was hoping you would say that.
into the neck, then that shows up on your computer as one instrument.
Because then people
and you can play it desktop, where you use your left hand for modulation, and you use your right hand for playing, or you could put it on the opposite side of your keybed, left hand. Now you have a left hand keyboard and right hand expression if you're more used to that, or you want to play bass parts.
Or people with different types of touchpads.
Yep.
Different things that like quick touch, you know, you could even put drum pads and stuff on some types, or you could build your own multiple synthesizer instrument and then use the keytar to mesh it all.
I've got button grids over there. I've got the MIDI fighter. I've got the Eigenhardt Pico. What else do I got over there?
This really legitimately is a fucking $1 million idea.
Yeah. So
this Crystal Keytar neck.
the first product that will be like out available as like a production model thing will most likely be just the neck with a USB port on it, and you plug a USB MIDI controller into it. Anything that sends out MIDI notes.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be, like I said, a MIDI fighter, an MPC style thing, another keyboard, and then you're basically adding expression to those notes that you're sending out. But for convenience, it's all showing up in your computer as one MIDI device. That's what we are intending to do with that first thing. But then we'll be getting, once the key bed is ready, we'll be getting out like boutique models, hand painted by Austin, to raise money for.
Yeah.
So it's like the neck controller for the Crystal Keytar would fund the key bed, which would fund, which would together be the boutique model, which would then fund the production model. So that I really want to compete in like a $300 price range for the first production model. Get some plastic stuff going on so that everybody can play it and beat it up and lose it, get it stolen, buy another one without being like, man, fuck my $1,000 boutique model. Just like, I dinged it. Fuck. There needs to be like a cheap piece of shit so that like Green Day can play one and give it to a fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Green Day would not probably buy a keytar, but
come on.
Jordan Rudess could have one, the cheap production model, and give it to a fan on stage, or you could beat the shit out of it and buy another one because you just don't like being too careful with instruments. You'd rather perform with it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, something in that $300 range, where like a beginner guitar would be.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, where you can get your hands on it reasonably.
Get your hands on it, learn, see if you want it. Also, here's something I'm really excited about putting into it, and something controversial for the haters. Built-in speaker, so that you can just whip it out and just start practicing with it. Or jam at the campfire.
Yes.
I have a keyboard, synthesizer that has the speaker built in, and I play it more than any other synthesizer I have or have ever owned, simply because the speaker is built into it, that I could just practice anywhere. People are like, oh, but the quality of the built-in speaker will be shit. And it's like, that's not the point.
Obviously,
it's a little tiny speaker.
I'm not using it to play a concert.
I'm not getting on stage at like Bowery Ballroom and being like, listen to this acoustically.
Yeah. So I'm gonna need stage mics to pick all this up. To pick up the sound coming out of my built-in speaker.
Somebody will do it. I mean, as a matter of fact, I played a show one time with that synthesizer.
Yeah.
And there was like some emergency where like the sound guy was like, I don't know why you're not sending signal. And I'm like, I could still hear it out of the speakers, so you do what you gotta do. We're feeding back into the AV stuff that we were talking about from AV gigs. You gotta keep the show going. You gotta keep it rolling. So I had to keep performing because that was my job. The sound guy had to keep troubleshooting it and mixing the show because that was his job. You just gotta keep it flowing. Crystal Keytar.
Crystal Keytar, baby. Yeah, I love that thing.
Thank you. I can't wait for you to get a fully realized one with the expression controller, with the key bed, with the speaker built into it, so that you could just jam all the time.
I have people that I'm telling this about that want it so bad.
I want them to have it because honestly, I started doing this because I wanted a way to play my music. Expressively, creatively, the way I wanted to. And if I get this into more people's hands where it's like accessible to people, then I'm sure they'll bring their own experience to it, innovate, and then teach me things that like I wouldn't have ever even thought of.
It's gonna be a full art circle, dude.
I'm fully supportive of the open flow of information, and just any way that I could get this into the hands of as many people as possible, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. So I was at the Buddy Griffin's house, who did that video for. He set up like a little music night. He had a couple of his buddies come over, a bunch of instruments. band, like a band that already plays, and then like just a bunch of ragtag fucks that are just like bringing what they got and like trying to fit in. And so the keyboardist for that band, sicko. Like one of the most impressive keyboard, like jamming, just like just so like incredibly fast, incredibly just brilliant.
Sure.
But he had just bought a keytar.
What do you get? Like a Roland or a Korg?
It was a Roland.
Is the Roland
Yeah,
the big one, the axe?
One that looks like a sword. Yes, the axe.
Yeah, the axe edge. A hot take on the axe edge? Too big.
Too big.
Too big.
I would say yes. It was very bulky, very awkward for me to play. It was just felt like a lot, like to have on, like hanging from me. I'd rather just sit with it.
And you tried you haven't even played this new prototype. You tried the old prototype, which was 30. It had even more keys than this one. It had 36 keys. And it was made of freaking wood. It was heavy.
So the contention, he had unboxed it that day. So it was all of our first licks on it, right? And his too. Yeah. And the contention was, one, just too big, and two, not fun.
Not fun.
And he had his double decker, professional keyboard setup that he brought, and well, it was fun, but it was limiting.
Yeah.
And you get to a point where you're testing out all the noises and stuff, and you get to a point where you just want to do more, and you feel like you're like you're doing the same. It's like
I keep doing the same thing. I want to do more things.
Yeah, it's like because he's such a skilled pianist.
Yeah.
So I could tell that he was just like, I wish I had more to do on here because I could do sick shit.
Yeah, you feel like your hand is not busy enough.
Yeah, and I didn't feel like he was busy enough because I had just watched him rip the keyboard, and I would go on here and he would try these one-handed solos, and I'm like, I know if you just had more
if you had
control,
things to use with this hand,
yeah, you could just make it a whole different animal.
And with the Rolands, the vibrato, we were talking about wiggling your fingers to make the pitch wiggle.
Yeah.
With the Roland, you can do that on the touch strip. But most people will just use the I don't know what the Roland calls it, expression bar. It's basically like a big bar under your palm that you just squeeze.
Yeah, the squeezy.
And then the more you squeeze it, the more it does the
vibrato.
And
it was cool, but I go, oh dude, look at this. And I showed him the video from your Instagram of you playing it, and he was like, oh, where did he fucking get that? And I was like, oh, he made that.
He made that.
And he was like, dude, like, where can I? And I was like, not yet.
Not yet.
But he reiterated 2 times before he left that night to tell me when it was available. Because he wants one. And it was like...
What's his name?
I totally forget. But the band that he plays in with his dad is called Crazy in the Sunlight.
Crazy in the Sunlight. All right, Crazy in the Sunlight.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that I... got a boutique model ready for you guys this year.
They do Grateful Dead type of stuff.
Oh yeah,
and they have
it needs a platform like that.
Yeah, they got really heady like art and stuff, and so that world, make him a boutique model. He'll fucking destroy that thing.
It can, I want it to be used for all the genres because it's just a keyboard with a lot more expression and more comfortable to play.
Yeah.
So it should be used for anything, and you can. If you're playing EDM, then it's going to be super saw. If you're playing Grateful Dead stuff, it might be. It might also be super saw, but maybe more like a tasteful, warm unison synth. Maybe not super saw. Or if if you're playing like what else? What else could you use really nice keyboard expression for? Rock music, you could just like take just a simple saw wave. Synthesizer, just plug it into a guitar amp.
Yeah.
And just shred it like you would guitar lines. And I want to give you guys pitch harmonics. So that would be really sick.
That would be sick.
Pinch harmonics.
And I'm just thinking of the intro. Joe's said it before. The intro of Mr. Crowley is guitar and organ. Yeah. And you can almost do both at the same time.
Yeah. Something
you could
like that.
do like the Mr. Crowley intro yourself.
Yeah, you could just pull up like an organ preset and kind of start where Deep Purple left off with plugging a B3 Hammond B3 organ into a guitar amp and that's what Smoke on the Water is. It's
Oh, no shit.
dun, dun, dun. It's an organ.
Yeah.
It's not a guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Dun, dun. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, but what if you could like take that and bend it and wiggle it and modulate it with different parameters. Also, one thing that I came up with in my head was like, oh yeah, some keytars have like some things that you can control, like knobs and stuff up here. But I'm like, it doesn't really feel good. And then I was thinking about John Grom had this viral guitar video of his performance of his single Passion Flower.
Yeah, you need knobs on the bass. I feel like where volume knob is on a guitar.
Yes, you definitely need one there. Korg has one there.
Yeah.
But also, John Grom, this guitarist, in his song Passion Flower, he actually replaces 2 of his guitar tuning pegs with banjo tuning pegs, which are different because on an electric guitar or an acoustic guitar, you have to like reach up here to get the tuning peg. Banjo tuning pegs are behind the headstock. So you don't have to like reach your wrist up here to get to the tuning pegs. You can just reach here. So I want to put like banjo style tuning pegs on the fake headstock of the keytar.
Yeah.
So that just like John Grom, he's live tuning the strings of his guitar as part of the guitar expression.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that'd be perfect for the Crystal Keytar.
You could like, and now it's like you can take a instrument where we're precisely temperamentally tuned, right?
Right.
Your synth, and you could just fuck with it.
Exactly.
You could make it a little bit out of tune if that's where it sounds the
Yeah,
best.
you could lock in the transpose by
That's
using
cool.
these.
Yeah.
And then also, you could do things like filter sweeps.
Yeah, yep.
You do things like the rate of your arpeggio. If you're like, you know, if you like performing with an arpeggiator, a lot of synthesizer players do love that.
That's sick. There's just so many options.
And then if you want to hold a note, the good news is with the Crystal Keytar is in the next prototype you'll be able to both use the neck for bass notes. So if you don't want this to be expression and you just wanted to play like the bass notes, the left hand notes for your right hand notes,
Yeah.
you could do that.
That's what I was thinking of when you said play from the neck, how you could play the Mr. Crowley intro yourself.
Yes.
Because it's just...
So now we have a more comfortable two-handed keytar where you could, instead of... A lot of people play keytar like this.
Yeah.
They T-Rex it and they play keytar like this, so they could use both hands.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at that point, it's not a keytar; it's just a strap-on keyboard.
So,
So,
like, come on, bud.
so bring it back to the neck. It's got a neck. That's what makes it a keytar.
Yeah.
And then you'll have bass mode. So Dolphin mode is when as soon as you touch, you have sustain, which is like a guitar, and then you move it up and down, and it changes the pitch, like a guitar.
Yeah.
So that's Dolphin mode. And then bass mode will be all of those interval markers. Instead of being there for pitch bend intervals, they're there for actual bass notes. You can just touch the bass notes. And then in either of those modes, you'll be able to move your right hand from the keys, grab the neck like a guitarist who's tapping the neck.
Yeah.
Get your sustain in either mode, bass mode or Dolphin mode. Hold down your sustain and then do some like synthesis modulation with those fake tuners. They're just synth knobs now at that point. So that was one Crystal Keytar technique that I haven't been able to do yet because I don't have the knobs programmed. But Keytar Spencer is hard at work. The last thing we talked about was programming those knobs. And additionally, we're going to have multiple types of knobs because synthesizer players love their knobs. We've got different types of knobs. We're going to have a traditional knob that has a start point and an end point. We're going to have a fine-tuned knob that can spin multiple times around until it hits its stop point and our stop and start point. Then we're going to have an endless encoder. So you just control its start point and your stop point in the programming for your user programming. But it's just an endless knob. So endless encoder. and a clicky knob. So that if you want to do steps, if you want it to be like click, 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 and you want to feel those clicks, we're also going to have a clicky knob as well.
I like that.
So you'll have all of those knobs, and it's just however big you want that headstock. So we'll probably have 6 knobs on there, maybe like 2 endless encoders, 2 traditional knobs, a fine-tune knob, and a clicky knob, and those will be your 6.
Yeah,
and then for the boutique model, we can just add, if you want, like 10 knobs back there.
Yeah.
Just 2 rows of 5. Or 2 rows of 4 if you wanted 8 knobs back there.
Would you consider making this project in the future like an open source thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I figured that's where you were going with it.
I want to protect the copyright because I don't want people like taking the Keytar, saying that they're one of our competitors, and then giving Keytars a bad name.
Yeah.
I want to elevate the Keytar platform to a point where people are like. Oh, if you want to make sure it's done right, you got to go to Crystal Keytar or the people that the Crystal Keytar is licensed to for these technologies. And then we can start like licensing out the technology, giving it out to people, like more people, making it a more accessible license, and then eventually just making it open source so that people know that it's not all Keytars are shitty instruments. It's just like any other instrument, there are shitty instruments and there are good quality instruments.
Yeah.
But I don't want that to happen before we prove the Keytar.
Yeah.
And the crystal, before we prove the Crystal Keytar.
Yeah.
I want the technology to be a little bit locked down.
Yeah, because it's one thing just talking about it.
I can guarantee you.
But it is another thing actually giving out the technology.
I mean, I can guarantee you right now, when I die, everything's open source.
Fuck yeah. Buddy.
Like, I'm just like, at that point, I've done all that I can do within this lifetime. So anything that I have a copyright to, I just want to be Creative Commons after I die. So I can guarantee you that. Before that, I don't know when the Crystal Keytar technology will be open source, but we will be
but I could see
working towards it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that when it's like a solidified thing, it'll be that's like the obvious next step.
Yep.
I love it. That'll do, buddy.
That'll do.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me on the show.
I actually came to him. This is Dolphin's house. Thanks for having me.
This is the aquarium. We're here. Oh yeah, that's what we were gonna say when the battery died. Millennium Film does those audiovisual shows. So you can splice that in there.
My battery died. That's why that cut randomly in the middle. But we only lost like a minute of footage actually, so that worked out well.
Yeah.
Here, we're gonna spin. We're gonna do a little behind the scenes here, so you see how fucking funny this shit is.
Yeah, we're in the aquarium. Unplug that power cable.
Okay, so we have our 2 TVs. Skateboard.
Yeah.
I got our
two
TVs.
monitors over there. Yeah. Here's me.
2 TVs. And then we have that camcorder.
Is feeding the TVs.
And then there's the projector up there.
Yeah.
And then we're using these 2 fucking...
This is my DJ lighting.
lights. So I turned the ISO way down so you could kind of... Ooh, this looks sick.
Oh, with the projector?
Yeah.
Yeah, the projector beams.
So it would be real dark, but then when we spotlit Dolphin, we would be lit up. Let's see how dark. There you go. Little production tips.
Little behind the scenes. And there's the aquarium.
And now for some original music by Dolphin. It's also the theme song of this podcast, if you didn't notice.